hello everyone, and welcome to Chamber Live with CIBC on how to navigate finances in a cashless world. Eastlink is happy to be sponsoring the Chamber of Commerce Chamber Live series designed to help support businesses by providing an opportunity to learn and network with other entrepreneurs. Thank you all for joining us today. Today, I'd like to give a warm welcome to Angelina from CIBC. Thank you, Angelina, for joining us today.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Angelina Kasanich. I am a mobile investment consultant with CIBC, and I've been in the finance world for about 13 years. I just want to take a moment to thank you all for the great opportunity that presented and the gift of your time today as we maneuver business differently. In today's presentation, I have included, let's just show the presentation. The agenda for the presentation is some important links. The banks have responded to COVID-19 and provided some really great links for you. And I've decided at the end I'll take some questions and answers and provide a few resources for you in particular to banking. Then we'll talk about our cashless world and how to manage money in a cashless world and how to protect your money and keep your information safe, and helpful resources, question and answers at the end. This is my very first webinar like this. I do many presentations in the public, but we have pivoted our business during these incredible times. So what does a cashless world mean? And let's begin with talking about some of the ways that we pay for things that don't include actual cash. Did you know, here, let me get this. Did you know that 57% of transactions in Canada are cashless? According to a recent Moneris study, cash purchases will make up only 10% of money spent in Canada. Okay, audience, I know it's tough to have a show of hands, but how many of you have actually made a purchase today? And how did you actually pay for it? Was it Visa, debit, Interac? Was it cash, or was it apps through store purchases? I want you to think about how you transact on a regular basis, because it definitely has changed. So this slide just demonstrates some of the percentages of who embraces cashless transactions more than the others. Here's some ideas. Cashless payments are the norm. These are becoming more normal now, especially with the COVID protocols in place, and cash has become just one of many options. Now with COVID, I actually had some local vendors refuse cash transactions for the sanitary aspect of it. So now you can pay with cash. However, you're more likely to pay with tap and debit cards and credit cards, mobile wallet, peer-to-peer transfers, e-transfers, global money transfers, and those are really common now. There's also apps. More stores are catching on to the new technology. And I know that the Tim Rewards app, they had the roll up to the RIM campaign canceled because of COVID, so we were able to get rewards on our apps for free items and merchandise. So there are some pros and cons though of doing that. And some of the pros and cons we can think of, I've listed them there for you. But the big pro is convenience. It's easier and faster than cash. I don't know about you, but I don't carry a lot of cash on me, which I probably should, but I don't always. And I also have 2 teenagers, so it doesn't last long when I do. So you don't have to find ATM machines now when you want to buy something. The pros of having cashless transactions are the loyalty programs. You can reward yourself for using your credit cards now, cashback, travel rewards, discounts on purchases. Transactions are recorded in your statements and the receipts are mailed to you, which makes for easier tracking and the way you spend your money. Cards are recoverable, which means if you lost or had your card stolen, you can report it and they will disable it and provide you a new one. The international payments are great when you visit a foreign country or have students traveling abroad or studying abroad. You won't even need to buy foreign currency. It's calculated for you. And CIBC is great for the Avion card. So some of the cons of going cashless, though, you tend to overspend. It's harder to control spending because your credit cards allow you to hold a balance, money which you may not even have. As a result, you may be tempted to make impulse purchases and buy things that you don't necessarily need. Guilty. So fees and interest. There may be fees and interest associated with some of the cards that you have, and you should be aware of them. Technology problems. Technology doesn't always work, so sometimes you'll go into a store and try to pay tap and you're not able to. Network capabilities and technology, when they go down, so do we. Security. In a cashless society, hackers become the new robbers and identity theft becomes greater risk. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in the next slide. So how many of you actually create and use a budget monthly? So this is big. The first tip that we like to tell our clients, and I've had many clients not even look at their bank account. One client comes to mind where for a whole year, he was paying a Rogers bill. He had never looked at his statements, and he was paying a Rogers bill for a whole year before he knew it wasn't his bill. They had transposed the numbers incorrectly, so you have to be actually monitoring. So when you do credit card transactions, if you do it all on a Visa and you have your Visa statement, you can actually look at it once a month. And you know, if something looks out of place, you can call Visa. Budgeting is important to keep you on track of your expenses, and you can save money for the future. In a cashless society, it's a key tool to help you monitor where your money's going and prevent overspending and create accountability for yourself. I'm not sure about you, but budgeting isn't really fun, but it is a very vital aspect of life. So you have to kind of figure out your income. Income is the money you receive when you're working at a job. Other sources of income include allowance and gifts like birthdays or holidays. And figuring out your expenses are very difficult. I remember a time where I paid $7.99 for a cauliflower, and sometimes it's $3.99. So working through your budget and having a financial advisor to help you with your money really helps. So we have at CIBC, and all the banks basically have budgeting calculators built into their websites. So I encourage you to use them. And there's a dozen boxes that all of your money categories have to fit in. So you can review a 30-day statement and put everything into a box and be on your way for better budgeting. It's also really tricky to balance your needs and wants. This is an important skill to help you create a budget. Gail Vaz-Oxlade was a great Till Death Do Us Part, Money Moron. She's a very good influence, and I loved her for the last 15 years that I followed her. And she was always about budgeting. And she did the jars. And I would do presentations on budgeting to the students' grade 2 class. And if you actually got to see your money, it's easier than not seeing your money. So the debit cards have created a whole new area of opportunity to get down to budgeting. So there are resources, there's a bazillion of them. Choose the one that you like. There's businesses that are created of helping you create a budget, but every bank and every financial institution has some great budgeting resources, and I would start with those first. Simple or detailed, it's up to you. Now, this is just a general guideline for you. And these are basically the budgeting rules. So 50% of your income goes to fixed expenses. And those are essentials, and they're necessities like transportation and food. 20% of your income for savings, things like emergency or large purchases. 30% of your income for personal expenses. These are things like gifts, entertainment, and personal items. I used to do an exercise, and I still do when someone's running into financial trouble. Print out a 30-day statement and highlight everything in there that's not a need. So especially if I had someone that just got laid off or was going to be into financial trouble like COVID, I would take a 30-day history from all sources that I spend money on. So accounts, visas, credit lines, 30 days, okay, where's all my money going? And on a budget calculator, you would be able to plug them all into all of these headings. So entertainment, gym, and the biggest one is discretionary spending. So what I found is on average, the average person spends about $500 a month on things they don't need. So I hope that helps you. And here's creating monthly budgets. So this is what a snapshot would look like. So I'm not sure if you have any questions about these, but they're pretty straightforward. Most people, there's two areas in the budget that I feel that we fall short. So transportation costs, I usually like to factor in $2,000 per vehicle per year, divided by 12 months, because you have things that go like windshield wiper fluids, crack in your windshield, heaven forbid, the potholes eat a tire. So all those things add up. So I usually like to recommend budgeting another $2,000 a year per vehicle in addition to what you're already spending. So when you do print out your 30-day statement, you can see, so if it's Petro-Canada or Canadian Tire Gas Bar, you can track how much you spent on transportation, but we always fall short on the uncontrollable events. So there's some information that you can sit down with an advisor, and we can definitely help you with these things as well. There's planned, actual, and difference. So this is what we plan on spending, what we actually spend, the difference in what we've guesstimated, and this is a projection that you can use, and it's often pretty good just to sit down, and then you're aware of your expenditures monthly. Stay on top of your budget. Compare your results with your budget estimates. Don't overlook one-time expenses. Include your small expenses. The banking app is wonderful because you have a moment-to-moment update on where your money is. It's easy to impulse buy. Try to avoid it. Shop around for discounts and take advantage of discounts, especially for students. There's tons of discounts out there. Lots of loyalty programs. Too many people spend money they haven't earned to buy things they don't want, to impress people they don't like. Will Smith. It's a pretty good quote. Now, staying on top of your budget. Here we go. So getting advice on budget, get a financial mentor and ask them, how do you manage your budget? I've seen everything from Excel spreadsheets to bubble chart, brain dump charts, papers everywhere, ideas, and basically some clients come in with their Excel spreadsheets and I think, wow, that's awesome. And some people have techniques that have allowed them to reduce their expenses on a monthly basis. And I often notice that in today's times, people are coming from second marriages and they keep separate accounts, which is nice. However, they may not realize they're paying $15 at each institution to have an account monthly. So there's different ways you can structure that to reduce your expenses, if that helps. And let's see. And another thing, humans are great for determining their behaviors. Your spending behaviors, where do you like to shop? They may have loyalty programs, so you may be better off to spend on your Visa that has, or MasterCard that has rewards that'll benefit you most for things that you're buying anyway. But that can be a slippery slope. So as long as you budget for the items that you're purchasing, because it makes sense for the disciplined savers and the people who really keep an eye on those things, but it doesn't make sense if you think it's free money and that you're not going to pay it at the end of the month because, hey, there's an extra $500 limit on my Visa, let's go buy all these things. But if it is for things that you need anyway, you can actually, even on Visas, you can set up a lot of pre-authorized payments on your Visa card to get the rewards points. If you pay them as a bill payment, it doesn't collect points. But if you have a pre-authorized payment taken off your Visa, it does collect the points. So those are some things to consider. Consolidating your accounts, here's the next one. Simplify your payment methods. Here's the cards that will benefit you most. So your spending behaviors, loyalty programs, fees and interest, convenience. These are all things that you want to consider when you're looking for the right card. And on the right-hand side, you'll see different companies that are using applications now. Tip number 3, use your credit responsibly. Pay on time, pay off the full balance owing. Did you know that you can actually call a Visa Center and have them pay the balance off in full every month so that you'll never be late? It'll never impact your credit bureau. Pay them off. You can actually also make arrangements with the Visa companies to pay the minimum off every month. So maybe you don't have that $1,000 or $2,000 every month and you're carrying a balance, and you want to determine when you're going to put the big lump sum on your Visa. So you might not want to pay off in full every month, but you might want them to take the minimum, and then you're never late with a payment. Oh, I see a question. So let me see. I see someone. I'm going to try and answer these chats.
Oh, that's just me, Angelina.
Okay,
Just
good.
sent you
Perfect.
a private message. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
Awesome.
perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm learning, so I really appreciate you guys and your patience with me. Now, how do I get that? Okay, so that was, where was I? Pay off the full balance. Okay, keep your outstanding credit card balance low, don't exceed your limit, and check your statements regularly. It's so important to check your statements regularly. With all the fraud that goes on and the creativity of these fraudsters, it drives me absolutely bonkers. But if you notice something that was out of whack that wasn't yours, and I've had it myself where it's an unauthorized transaction, it's not my purchase, or I've purchased something on a website that I thought was legit that wasn't. Your Visa also has built-in insurances for products. It's like a product protection. And for example, I bought bar stools at a local merchant, and they wouldn't, a month later, it had a rip in the material, but it wasn't on a seam, so it wasn't a manufacturer's defect, so I had nothing to stand on. So I called the Visa Center, and because of the insurances that are built in on my credit card, I was able to have them reimburse me for the bar stools that had defects that the manufacturer wouldn't cover. So I really like that peace of mind aspect of using my credit for that. If you're a business owner, it's great to track expenses, and then some Visa providers actually break down the expenses to help you with your accounting at the end of the year. Next, try a cash-only diet. That was back to the jars conversation with Gail had made. And when I got into financial trouble, hubby lost his job, we actually did this. So every time I got paid, we put the money in jars so I can actually physically see it. And your idea is to run out of month before you run out of money. And that's basically the challenge every month. Next. This is very important. I don't know how many people keep their PIN numbers inside their wallets. You're not supposed to do that, and you're not supposed to share your PIN number with your spouse or anyone, because although your relationship is amicable at this time, we've seen it where things go sideways. So protect your money and keep your information safe. Do not give out information, and it's really tough because you get surveys all over the place that ask for certain information, and you think that you're playing a game on Facebook even, and they're asking you for your date of birth, and your information is everything. So it's important to keep the information that you have safe. Identity theft is a big one, and it's really hard and cumbersome to get out of. So I have some CPA numbers. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. So there are 900 cases of fraud. We have an anti-fraud center. Every day we are inundated with different examples of fraud, and it's mind-blowing. Before I joined the bank, I had no idea. I had these rose-colored glasses, and I thought everyone is so sweet and kind, and then I would be in charge of the fraud cases. So I want you to be very careful with your online text and email fraud, check fraud. People always ask, well, why do you have a hold on the checks? And if it's a draft, why do you have a hold on the draft? Well, it's a piece of paper until it clears, and all the financial institutions have processes in place to protect the client. I know it may seem like an inconvenience at times, but check fraud is huge. And the stories here, we could spend hours on this chapter alone. But The online text and email fraud, you may receive a message or an email from someone you don't know. They send an unclaimed money request. That's a big one. Debit and credit card fraud, sometimes they're stolen and there's funds obtained from your account without your authorization. Identity theft is more common than you think. Your personal information is stolen and then used illegally to apply for new loans and credit cards in your name. The forgery of counterfeit checks is unbelievable, and most companies are veering away from checks. You're even seeing it with the government. Direct deposit is the method of choice, and it's a lot faster too. The processing of direct deposit is instant, so more companies are going that route, but there is a cost to doing that because it does keep you protected. And fake contests, phony surveys, you want to believe it, there's a whole bunch. The biggest one is the mystery shopping scammer. A lot of vulnerable people get caught up in those. So if it's, smells too good to be true, it usually is. Quick way to do those things is contact the number on the back of your card to make sure that the claims are legit. So if you see something out of or receive an online text or email that doesn't look right and it's coming from a financial institution, do not respond to the email. Just call the number on the back of your card and we can verify those things for you. The next one, 5 tips to protect yourself. So we briefly touched on the passwords. I see it all the time. You have elderly moms with their daughters or sons, thinking it's great to do the banking on their behalf. But if you're joint on accounts, you can track everything separately. So keep passwords private. That's like the key to your vault. It also voids the recourse that you may have. So if you've given your password out, you are not protected because it's not fraud. You've given them the key to your safe and they've taken all the money maybe, and just don't do it. There's 2-step verification options, Face ID, monitor your accounts regularly. Your antivirus and anti-spyware. A lot of people will let their kids or grandkids play on the computer and they'll open up different applications that expose their computer to malware, and that has caused a lot of ruckus also. Stay on top of current scams. There is an anti-fraud center. They used to call them phone busters. There's Crime Stoppers. You can definitely, and even every banking institution has a security page on their website, so you can report it right to your financial institutions. So here's some helpful tools and resources I've included. How to create your budget. The student budget calculator is awesome. When I have students that are, contemplating going to post-secondary, they think they want to go out of town until we do the student budget calculator. Then they start their job and realize how long it will be before they can save up to go. We also have some great student resources. CIBC is one of the best institutions for their student programs and protocols. Love it. Okay, questions and answers. I have included, on the top of the deck, I've included the resources that all financial institutions now have this here, the committed to supporting you through COVID. And if you click on the links, it'll take you to different resources. So I encourage you, if you're having financial hardship or if you have questions, hello?
Yep, we can still hear you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I thought I disconnected. It would just be my luck. Okay, so all of the banks and financial institutions, CIBC has been amazing at providing and keeping the resources available to you. And, for example, your mortgages, we have deferred payment arrangements made, mortgages, credit cards, loans, business loans. The government's been fantastic. So some of these are all located on the website, on your mobile and your online banking applications. There's your, and then you can click on the frequently asked questions, because before you wait an hour on hold with customer service, then we have a real quick process in place for the financial hardship. We've created this request financial assistance here. And you would just click it and open, answer a few questions, and it would send a request on whatever it is that you wanted to refer, whether it be the mortgage, the credit card, the loans, lines of credit. So this is what we've got in place so far, but as you know how quickly things change with COVID-19, we pivot with the needs of our clients and business. So for mortgages, you can defer your regular mortgage payments for up to 6 months. And these are all case-by-case basis. So I encourage you to reach out to your financial institutions, because from the time these slides were printed, things may have changed also. Credit cards, you can defer up to 3 months, and they lower your interest rate of 10.99. There are some criteria, so you'll click in here and get some more information. The loans and line of credit, you can request to defer regular payments on loans and lines of credit for up to 2 months to help manage your financial challenges. And that's all with the click of the form. So some of the frequently asked questions before you even ask them is, I've submitted my request for financial assistance. What happens next? You'll receive an email. If you require additional details to process your request, they'll ask for more information. And after you submit the required information, they'll review it, and then they will follow up with you. So that's for personal. And business, they have a few different things going on. The government, federal and CRA, have issued some different resources. So you have your Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy and your Canada Emergency Business Account Loan Program. And here's a little bit of each in detail of how you would qualify. So under the expanded terms, businesses and not-for-profits with an annual payroll between $20,000 and $1.5 million will now be able and eligible to apply for the CEBA. And that's how the application process goes. There's some links in here that you may want to research. And then the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, who's eligible, here's how it goes. You must be an eligible employer, which includes individuals, trusts, taxable corporations, partnership, registered charities, and nonprofit organizations. And you must have experienced an eligible reduction in revenue. And I think actually, Kayla, you have 2 good live presentations that I looked at, and one was Baker Tilly, I believe that was Rock La Palm, and you had another gentleman. So there's some really great things that the Chamber is doing to give you resources on these actual things. And that is basically me in a nutshell. So if you have any questions, there's my contact information. This is who I am. And now CIBC has pivoted. We have 1 branch open to the public Monday to Friday, 10 to 4. And we have 3 that are acting as like call centers. So we support each other remotely. And you're going to see some big changes in the remote business of finance and banking. So I really thank you for the gift of your time. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. And any feedback, because this is my first time, and I know already I said too many times, but thank you.
That was lovely, Angelina. Thank you so much. We're so happy that you were able to join us today and share your expertise. And thank you all for signing on and joining us for our Chamber Live today. Please check out other upcoming free Chamber Live sessions on our website. We have been recording this session, so it will be available on our resource section. And feel free to use the chat box available, which Angelina can read from, directly to answer your questions about this presentation. So we'll just wait and see if there's any questions that come up. I'll also be sending out a post-webinar email with Angelina's email, and you can reach out to her directly if you have any questions.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see any questions coming through, so I think that wraps up today. Thank you so much, Angelina, and thank you all for signing on, and check out our website for this recording.
Thank you so much.